Welcome back, and it's a stop press welcome back. Assisted suicide is an emotive subject around the world. This week, a landmark legal case has been taking place in London, where one woman is trying to ensure that her husband would not be prosecuted for helping her travel abroad to end her own life. Debbie Purdy has multiple sclerosis and is considering going to Switzerland, where assisted suicide is legal, if her condition gets much worse. Currently, assisted suicide is illegal in the UK, as well as for our viewers in much of the rest of the world as well. But straight from the High Court, Debbie is here now. Debbie, welcome. And the reason for this case, and you're pursuing this case, is really, in a sense, your husband.
Yes. We've been married for 10 years. We've been together for 13. I love him. I wouldn't want him to put himself in danger for any other reason, and I wouldn't want to be the cause of him putting himself in harm's way as far as the legal system is concerned.
Yes, why would he, how could he at the moment put himself in harm's way? You mean?
Well, the law as it stands says that anybody who counsels, procures, aids or abets the suicide of another is guilty of a crime and they face up to 14 years in jail. The problem is, what is counselling, procuring, aiding or abetting? Is him discussing with me illegal? Would him buying a train ticket for me to get to a jurisdiction where assisted suicide is legal, like Switzerland or Belgium or Luxembourg or somewhere, would it be dangerous for him to push my wheelchair? We don't know, and so what we're asking the court to do is to clarify under what conditions they would prosecute somebody.
And so that's the thing that hasn't been put out. You're not actually asking to change the law, are you? You're asking for a clarification, yeah?
That's right. I do want the law changed because I would rather not travel to somewhere else. But that's a different argument for a different day, and it's different debates, and people would want to discuss it differently.
And the other problem in this is that if in fact they said no to what you're hoping for, the situation would be that situation of waiting a time could endanger your husband for taking part, and so that might lead you to do something final sooner than you know now you would like to do it.
Well, my physical condition is deteriorating faster than my emotional or ability to communicate. So I'm now using an electric wheelchair, for instance, and have been most of this year. Right at the moment, I could get to Switzerland by myself without assistance. That won't be very long when I can still do that. So if for instance, sometime next year, I feel like I'm losing the ability to transport myself
on your own. Yeah.
By Christmas, you don't know how quickly this disease will degenerate. If I lose the ability to get there myself, to ask for his help in travelling would mean that he is facing a possible prosecution. I'm not going to do that. So I would have to go while I was still physically able to go myself.
Because at this moment, you don't know whether you might be tempted to do this in Switzerland in 3 years' time or 15 years' time.
Well, my life isn't unbearable. Right now, I wake up with pains, but they're not unbearable. I enjoy my life. I enjoy being married. I love my friends, and I love my life. I don't know that the pain or the problems that I get from MS will ever become unbearable, so I don't know that I would ever make this choice. However, I think it's a possibility and a probability that it would, and I'm more frightened of facing incredible pain that I can't do anything about, and living a life which is unbearable and waking up every morning thinking, I wish I hadn't woken up. I'm more frightened of that than of ending my life early.
That's right, because we should say, make clear to people that MS is not automatically terminal.
That's
and so
right.
on. And we wish you a long and happy life.
Thank you.
Debbie, thank you. It was billed as the one to watch. the showdown with no holds barred. The US vice presidential debate kept around 60 million Americans glued to their TV screens on Thursday night. In the red corner, there was the self-styled pit bull with lipstick, Sarah Palin, and in the blue corner, the experienced but occasionally gaffe-prone Joe Biden. In the event, both won plaudits. Have a look and see what you think.
John McCain was saying that Sunnis and Shias got along with each other without reading the history of the last 700 years. John McCain said there'd be enough oil to pay for this. John McCain has been dead wrong. I love him. As my mother would say, God love him, but he's been dead wrong on the fundamental issues relating to the conduct of the war. Barack Obama has been right. There are the facts.
Your plan is a white flag of surrender in Iraq, and that is not what our troops need to hear today, that's for sure, and it's not what our nation needs to be able to count on. You guys oppose the surge works. Barack Obama still can't admit the surge works. We'll know when we're finished in Iraq, when the Iraqi government can govern its people, and when the Iraqi security forces can secure its people. And our commanders on the ground will tell us when those conditions have been met.
Well, there you are now to get a neutral view on the debate. I'm joined by Darrell M, an expert in politics and mass media from the Brookings Institute. Darrell, what was your reaction to the debate as you watched it? Did you think it was close to a tie or what?
I thought both candidates did very well, but of course Palin had the big problem coming into this debate because she'd performed disastrously in some of the previous interviews, so created all these doubts. Was she up to the job? How knowledgeable was she? Last night she answered those questions very effectively because she came across as smart, articulate, was able to express the views of the McCain-Palin ticket on leading issues, so I think she really helped herself as well as John McCain quite a bit.
And of course, the reaction afterwards will be assisted by the fact that the predictions were lower, so that's always a help too. So she may, in what people always refer to as the debate after the debate, in America all day today, they may well sort of in the end come out with a feeling that she won this round.
I think she quieted the critics. There were even conservative activists who were calling for McCain to dump her from the ticket. So I don't think we're going to hear any more talk of that sort. So she was able to put to rest some of the gravest criticisms about her. But Joe Biden also did very well. He was very effective, especially later in the last part of that debate, in really tying John McCain to George W. Bush, making the case that they basically have the same policy views, and if you like the status quo, you should vote for McCain. But of course, he knows 84% of Americans are dissatisfied with the direction America is taking.
So what do you think is going to be the tactic now? That last thing you just said of Joe Biden's about linking McCain, obviously, with George W. Bush. That will obviously remain an important theme. Do you think there'll be any other new developments in terms of the presentation of these two sides?
I think both candidates are very clear in terms of their strategies. For Democrats, it's tying McCain to Bush. For Republicans, we heard Sarah Palin last night talk repeatedly saying that both McCain and Palin are different kinds of Republicans. They're mavericks. They're not just going to endorse the policies of the past. They want to move forward into the future. The question mark is whether Americans are going to buy that argument, because on several leading issues, from Iraq to taxes, McCain and Bush do have very similar positions. So I think it's going to be harder for Republicans to make their argument than it is for Democrats, given all of the public concerns about the bad economy right now.
There's a story, there's a rumor, I wonder whether you think it's true, and if so, what effect it will have, that a number of people were saying that whereas the polls at the moment show Mr. Obama with a very healthy 7, 8, 9% lead, that when you that's with face-to-face, where the person is actually seeing the pollster in front of them, and they are seen for what they are, one-on-one. But that when you look at opinion polls through the internet, where in fact the person is anonymous, there the lead goes down to almost level on the race issue, obviously that being. Do you think that's true?
I think that is a problem for Barack Obama. When you've looked at African Americans who've run for the Senate or for a governor, oftentimes the pre-election polls have overestimated their support by 3 or 4 points. And so if I'm Barack Obama, he has to go into the last week of this campaign, I believe, with at least a 5-point lead, because I believe there will be some slippage in the last week, because there are some Americans who are willing to tell a pollster, yes, I will vote for this African-American Democrat, but when they go into the privacy of the polling place, they will opt not to do that.
And that will be, yes, and that 4 or 5% you would say would be needed to cover that possibility.
That's what we have seen in other states where there have been African-American candidates. Basically, that's kind of the size of the electorate that has concerns about supporting an African-American politician. They will tell a pollster they will cast that vote, but then ultimately they will refuse to do so.
I was amazed by that news late last night about the fact that the McCain campaign have given up on Michigan and are leaving Michigan. I mean, did that surprise you? I mean, it's unusual, isn't it?
It's unusual. I wasn't real surprised, because when you look at Michigan, it's a big industrial state. It has been among the hardest hit of the industrial states in terms of the economy. They have among the highest unemployment rate of any state in the country. It's been a tough state for McCain to break through. The recent polls there show him down by double digits. So McCain decided to pull all of his resources out of there. They're closing their campaign offices. They're not running any more TV ads there, so he can devote more time to Ohio, Pennsylvania, and a few of the other battleground states.
But that will also change the result in Michigan, won't it? I mean, he will now have a much bigger deficit because he's not doing anything now.
Absolutely. I mean, basically by pulling out, he cedes that state to Obama, which of course then also allows Obama to reduce his efforts there. Instead of putting additional television money into Michigan, he can now redirect his resources to the other industrial states. So what we're seeing is, originally they were talking about maybe up to 18 states being battleground states. I think now we're down to about 10, and as we get closer to Election Day, that number is probably going to drop down to 4 to 5 really crucial states where this election will be decided.
Thank you very much indeed, Darrell. Come and talk to us again as this excitement continues. Thank you very much, Darrell.
Thank you very much.
And we are making the fearless prediction of a Democratic victory in Michigan. That's all for this week. My thanks to all my guests. Join me again in 7 days' time for another Frost Over the World.